Good evening, everybody. I hope we've had a positive and stress-free day. If not, then I'm sorry. Tomorrow will be better. But today we're going to be reviewing the market, uh, the ES. We're going to be looking at the crazy and wild action today after the CPI data came out in the pre-market. Uh, and cause a ruckus to say the least. I mean, so let me go ahead and just get you guys zoomed in here on the after hours action. So this right here is, let me see if I can let's get rid of that. This right here was the pre-market, pre-market action all all night long, just chopped in the slight little range and then finally started to trend a little upward into the data number. So I would assume at this point shorts were covering, right? So hold on, let me just first and foremost, the market was extremely short. Yesterday I was talking about how there's a potential that with the data, if the market didn't like it or if they did like it, we were going to go one way or the other. And it was going to be a big move. As yesterday was an inside day with a perfect pot, 13 for 13 wide. Inside day, right? I said I would be surprised if we opened up inside the day's range, which we didn't. We didn't open up inside the day's range. We opened below with a gap. Crazy, crazy movement. Um, but the market has been extremely short up until this point. You look at the larger time frames over here. Look at the larger time frames. The monthly is extremely short. Every push up has been sold. The monthly has been short for 2 months in a row now, right? You got last month of September, short. This month of October, short after coming out of balance, right? The monthly short. Weekly, you have short sellers. So short just means people are selling. That's all it means. You got short sellers. Every push up has been sold into. The weekly is short. So as we push lower and lower, you're going to have, excuse me, I just burped. But as we push lower and lower, you're going to have people want to take profits, right? Shorts are going to want to get out of their positions. And then I think that that's the only people that are buying this market. Today was nothing but a short covering rally. People were getting out of their position along with that momentum from the shorts covering their positions. You had people stepping in buying the market, such as myself, day traders, right? So the market has been extremely short over the past couple of months, over the past 5 months, right? Over the past couple weeks, short. Over the past several days, we've been short. So whenever we do get a rally, a short covering rally, they can be pretty vicious because people are going to start to want to lock in those profits before they get hurt. I know somebody today who lost a significant amount of money because they got caught short down here at the lows. Uh, you got to trade with stops in. So if you get in, you want to have a stop where if the price pushes up past that point, you get taken out of your position and you don't have to worry about anything. This guy lost thousands of dollars today, you know, enough to double my salary, which is crazy on this move up. Vicious short covering, and then they just provided the bid all day long, as well as longs entering into the game. So let's go back to the price action before the market opened at 8:30. So CPI data came out right at 7:30, right before we had a little push up, a little run up. The high there was 36.4475. All right. At 7:30 when that data came out, we dropped. Let's look at this range here. The range of that was 116 points in one 15-minute bar. Let's 116 of it was in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, you had a massive push down. Shorts just piling in, algos piling in off that CPI data news release. And then we come into the open, right? We open. So look here now. We come into our open. We open at 35, 13, 25. We open here. The low, we pushed down as low as 35.02. I told you guys yesterday that I would be looking at the 3,500 level, the 350 level, going into the 330 and 320 levels. We we hit the 300, we hit that 3,500 level, we hit that 350 level, and I mean the low in the SPY today was 34, 348.11, 348.11 cents was the low. For us, it was 35.02, 3,502 was the low of the day, and then we bounced up. B took out A's high. And then we began to fill this gap. Yesterday's low was right there, right? We gapped down, we gapped lower, we opened at the lows. I said I was going to expect us to open either one way or another, but not in yesterday's range. And we did that. We got the overnight low right out of the gate because we broke through that 35.06 level before the market opened. 35.0375 was that low before the market opened, and then we opened and pushed lower, broke the overnight low. So we got the overnight low. So I have a checklist that I look at every day. My checklist is to look at the overnight highs and the overnight lows. If we get those one way or the other out, if we get the overnight low, then obviously sellers have it, right? If we get the overnight high, then buyers have it. Then I look at things like the IB high, the initial balance high, the initial balance low, IB low. That's going to be the initial balance is the first hour of the day, right? So that's A period, that's B period, right? Those the highs and lows of those two time frames. So A's low to B's high. That's the initial balance. And then whoever takes it out, we take out the IB high, then that goes to the buyers, right? Bulls took it out because we took out that time frame's high. And then I look at things like one time frame and up, one time frame and down. One time frame and up simply means we're just taking out previous time frames high. Each one of these periods is just 30 minutes of price action. So in A period, we had a high of 35.46, and then in B period, we broke that high of 35.46 and pushed up to a high of 35.6250, right? We started one time framing up because we took out that high. C period did the same thing. We took out the high, one time framing up. We got the IB high. Remember, that's the initial balance high, right? We got the initial balance high. 50. We'll label this IB high. IB high, right? So we took out that initial balance high. And then this VWAP's kind of getting on my nerves. Let me take this thing out real quick. That's getting on my nerves. Hopefully it doesn't. Yep, I knew it was going to do that. 1 second. Back to the price here. All right. So I had to get rid of that. It was getting annoying. But we took out the IB high. C period took it out, right? We're one time framing up. And then in D period, we never got near C's low, right? Never got near C's low. Saying sellers were getting kind of scared, buyers were starting to step in, as shorts began to cover, right? Because if you're short, you have to buy back the share that you sold. So they're buying it back. And then boom, D takes out C's high. We continue the one time frame up. And then we just have a massive short squeeze from C's high of 35.6825 to D's high of 36.4850, right? So this creates what we call a set of single prints. That's another thing that's on my checklist to see if we have single prints and where those single prints were created. So a single print is just what is known as an intraday high, or not intraday high, intraday gap. So this is where the single prints would fill because this is where it started. So we call it SPF, single prints fill. And then we pushed up, right, a high of 36.4850, and then we came back in a little bit in D period. We pulled back a little bit in D period. So they initially started at 36.24, and then in E, this time frame, in E period, we pushed into it a little bit, but shorts began to cover again. Once more, shorts came in and covered those positions because shorts were trapped here. That's an intraday gap right there. From 35.68.25 to 36.19.25. Big intraday gap. This is what you call a double distribution day. A double distribution day. We have a distribution here, right? From A's low to C's high, gap, and then from E's low to the day's high in K? Yeah, that's K. K, L, yeah, right? K, L, no, L period, L period. That's M period. Uh, remember you have the high day at L's high, right? Yeah. So that's two different distributions. So tomorrow, when we trade, we'll treat it as two different days. You'll treat today's, where the single print start, E's low, as like a low of day, and then L's high as a high of day, which today, that would be the high of day. L's high at 36.97, 75. So this is where single print start. I'm gonna label it green to let us know that people are here ready to buy. If we pull back into this area, that's where people are going to be ready to buy, right? So those are things I look at. I look at something, overnight high, the IB high, the one time framing up, single prints. Uh, the trend was up, right? We took out the overnight high. The overnight high was 36.44.75. So we took that out in D period when we pushed up. E period kept going. F, G didn't do anything. Let me continue to label these so you guys understand. That's G period. That's H period. That's I period. This is J period. And guess what? In J, we have what's called an afternoon pullback low. Let me go ahead and label the rest of these and I'll explain the afternoon pullback low. So an afternoon pullback low just means it's the first time frame to take out a previous time frame's low and hold it, right? So in J period, we pull back to a low of 36.62.25, right? So that's going to be an area where we pulled back to and then we found buyers here. We found support. There was no more supply here. No more supply. So we'll label this afternoon pullback low. There was no more support here. Or no more supply, excuse me. We had support, right? So when we pull back into this area, this would be treated as a support area because you'll have people buying in this area. This IB high means nothing anymore. And then we have the low of day, right? We'll label that low of day. Sorry if this video is a little bit longer, but I feel like I kind of need to just explain a little bit in depth on how I'm looking at this. We'll call this low of day, LOD, low of day. So now we have the day's low, single print fill at 35.68.25, where the single prints start at 36.1925. Remember, that's the intraday gap that we made in D period where shorts began to rapidly cover and we sprinted to the top, right? E period, we kept going higher. F period kept going higher. G kept, we were consolidating. H moved higher. I, we moved higher. And then finally in J period, we pulled back after breaking I's low at 36.71, right? First time frames low to be taken out. Afternoon pullback low in J to a low of 36.6225. And then you see here in K period, we opened, pulled back a little bit to 36.6350, but we didn't get to 36.6225, right? We didn't get to there because we had support there. We had buyers that were stepping in, shorts that were covering, momentum buyers stepping in. And then boom, we set a new high on the day in K. And then in the L period, we did the same thing. We set a new high in L period. M period, we did the same thing. Or in M period, we actually rolled over and then came back down. But you see how we never got to J's low? So tomorrow that'd be something we can lean on as a buyer, assuming we don't take out today's high. We'll call this the high day and we'll label it red. So that's how I'm looking at today, right? A lot going on here. A lot going on here, but hopefully you'll understand a little bit more when I'm talking about my trades. But all today was a big short covering rally. Not a whole lot going on. Other than that, momentum buyer stepping in. In the daily, do we continue to push up higher? Potentially. Will this be a low for a little while? Good possibility. But right now, the daily just went from down to balance. So now we're just in one big balance now. From today's low, and I'm just going to say to today's high. We're just going to call this one big balance. Now, if we take out today's high, I'm going to say the daily's one time framing up now. If we take out today's low, then the daily goes back down to from balance to down. The weekly, still one time framing down, right? We have to take out this week's high next week in order for because we're not going to get next week's high. Next week, or last week's high, excuse me. Because last week's high was 379 in the SPY. So we have a better chance next week of taking out this week's high. And so far that's at 367.51 for SPY. So that's what we look to do for. That's one step at a time. As far as my trades, I did really well today. Did really well. Had a pretty good trade in D period when we got into yesterday or the previous day's value, or into previous day's range right after we filled the gap because I had a feeling that we'd go and trade or at least get to this 13 wide POC. I'm gonna go back to my other chart real quick so you guys can see all my other destinations. It got a little wacky, right? So this is my other chart with all the destinations on it. You can see that we opened below. We had a gap. We took out those two low days, right? We set a new yearly low. So I'm gonna get rid of these. We came up in D period. We filled that gap, and once we got into the previous day's range, I felt like we were gonna trade here at this 13 wide POC. POC is just point of control. That's where price was happy trading. There was a lot of volume in that area, and it acts as a magnet whenever price moves up or price moves down. So we hit this 13 wide POC. I got long here at 35.85, 50, expecting us to go and hit that at 36.03. 5 lot, made really good money on it. I'm gonna go ahead and exit, clear those. And then we got to the high of day. I was holding, I took a long in after D period, I took a long in E period as we were one time framing up with a large set of single principal low. And shorts were scrambling to cover, so I entered and felt comfortable against the 9 EMA on the 5 minute. So if we look over here on my 5 minute chart, in E period, we were pulling back towards this this blue line here. That's a 9 EMA exponential moving average. And I got long at where was it? 37, I believe. Yeah, 37. I got long at 37. And then on a push up, I exited around, where was my exit? I have it written down, but I'm just trying to look at it on the chart here. I got long around 47 on this push back up, and then I exited at 60.25. So at 36.60.25 on this push back up right here in this candle is where I exited my 2 lot long in E period. Made really good money on that, good points on that. And then I took a few more longs in F period on pullbacks, along 2 lots on pullbacks, because at the time we were just holding this set of single prints, this really large set of single prints here, pushing up into those daily highs. F period, we pulled back, and I was buying 2 lot at 38 and exit on a push back up towards 44.75. I stopped out of the other because we pulled back a lot further than I was expected. I took another long again at 32 right after we made the new low. Took another long at 32. Kind of still against E's low. We're still one time framing up on the day. Took it against E's low and the single prints fill as sellers were covering their shorts, making the floor for buyers to step in. So I got long 32. And then in G period we pulled up. I was ready to buy more in G period if we pulled back and broke F's low, because then at that point G would have been an afternoon pullback low. But we didn't. We held F's low. I stayed in my long, and then I finally exited at 44 at 44.75, and the other one at 47. So on this big push back up on this candle here, I got long 44.7 or exit 44.75 and 47, which was actually a really good entry because man, I should have held, because in H period we popped and created a new high on the day and then continued in I. There was no reason for me to get out of the trade because we were still one time framing up on the day, other than me to take profits and just protect the points that I made on the day. I took a short in G period as well. Took a short against F's high because we had two-sided trade at the time. Pocket moved up, point of control at the time had moved up. We had two-sided trade, so I went short against F's high, kind of expecting us to rotate back down towards where that point of control was at G's low at the time, which was 36.33, and I got short at 57.25, and then on the push back down, where was it at? G period. I got short right around in this frame right here. Pull back to that 9 is where I exit at 51.75. So it was a really, or 51.25, excuse me, and it was a really good short. And I was looking for a better risk reward setup. Was looking for the afternoon pullback low, but I needed to go get some things done, so I left and stopped trading for the day. Made really good money. Hope everybody stayed out of the way of this trade. Kind of a crazy day. Um, kind of a crazy day for sure. We'll go ahead and get rid of all these destinations. Sorry if this video is a little bit too long for some of you guys. I try to keep it short, but sometimes I tend to over explain, and I get pretty happy or excited when I talk about something that I'm passionate about. As far as destinations go, we have for the upside today's high day 36.97.75, and then after that high day we have the high day from October 7th at 37.1750. The gap fill, because we still have a gap above us to fill, gap fill at 37.50.75, and then the 10 wide pocket above that at from the 6th at 37.78. So that's a good possibility we go and get that tomorrow if we take out today's high. For the downside, we have the afternoon pullback low at 36.62.25. Single prints where they start at 36.19.25. They fill at 35.6825, and then our low of day yearly low at 35.02. And I highly doubt we'll go and get that tomorrow. I'm more so expecting us to kind of maybe chop around in this upper distribution, um, where all this volume was done from E's low to L's high. Expect us to chop around in here for a good portion of the day, kind of process what happened today, um, and then make a move higher. If not, maybe we open up above with another gap because shorts are going to get squeezed, continue to get squeezed out of their positions. Maybe we gap above and then continue to push higher and go get this daily high, fill that gap, and then get that 10 white POC from the 6th. Um, Hope you all have a wonderful day. If anybody knows my mother out there, I hope you wish her a happy birthday. Mom, you know who you are. I love you. Other than that, probably a little corny that I said that, but we'll take it. Have a good day, everyone.